And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Monastery, the open bar of the internet, the world's greatest shit show, and the place where we, the good brothers and sisters of this most holy of temples, seek enlightenment through the drunkest, craziest, and most batshit ways possible. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me is my good sister in the temple, the resident sheep, though is sometimes as distracted with lasers as much of a cat as a cat is. Good sister Maki.
Hello there, guys. I am Maki.
So, it has been a wild couple of weeks. Aside from Mother Nature being on the drugs again, I knew that Summer of Gaming was coming, which I knew meant the return of the Hangover Shitshow, along with the game showcases that Sony and Microsoft were going to be doing, as well as a bunch of indies. I especially knew this because one of those indie showcases was brave enough to visit my monastery to do an interview. But I may have bitten off more than I could chew. Because over the last 2 weeks, there have been about 8 different indie showcases. Some of them covered stuff I've already covered on this channel. A lot of them, not so much. And welcome to the temple, Hex D1. I hope you enjoy the madness. But most of the time, I cover a lot of indies with these. And for those of you who are new to this, let me explain what the Hangover Shitshow is. It is me taking a presentation, whether it be Summer of Gaming, whether it be the Game Awards, whether it be E3 when that was a thing, whether it be Gamescom when that comes around, or the Tokyo Game Show. Cutting out all the fat when it comes to the presentation part of just people talking, and focusing on just looking at what is revealed trailer-wise or gameplay-wise, and going from there. Basically an indie showcase without the facts, and giving thoughts on various things here and there. This time around, because of the sheer volume of it, I've had to split it in two, which is why I've called this the Summer Supercard. Supercard, of course, being a wrestling reference to those very, very large wrestling cards at events way back in the day, and even nowadays. Though those particular pay-per-views that are so large that they have to split it into multiple nights. I know Wrestle Kingdom did that a few times. A bunch of showcases. A lot of them in Japan have done it. I guess you could say it's because of the whole sport presentation with Purores, but that's a whole other kettle of fish. But I ended up collecting about 120 games to showcase, and doing that in one stream would probably kill me.
On the other hand, it's incredibly heartwarming seeing all of these smaller titles coming out with clearly creative backbone in them.
Mm-hmm. There are some larger entries that you're going to see in this, but those are always the minority, and whenever I do that, it's usually a case where it is done for a very specific reason. There are some that, and sometimes I'm just grabbing blind and not even looking at the trailer and seeing what's going to happen, because the greatest innovations in the history of mankind were done by people who had no idea what they were doing, in the words of Paula Scher. And if you want an excellent case in point with that, Well, you all have post-its on your desk in some form or another, don't you? For those
I
racing...
am kind of excited to look over these.
Oh, yeah. Now, the first one concerns one that I have a long and illustrious history with. Now, normally I don't cover remasters on this because there's not a whole lot to really say. But my stance on remasters is a special case when it comes to older PC games that have some compatibility issues.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And hello there, Overlord. Welcome to the show. Thank you for the raid. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Mildra. I am a gaming monk, and tonight we are going through a bunch of indie games.
With friendly sheep.
And for those wondering why Maki is on my shoulder, well, I think it evens out. I'm a tall guy, and well, most people are shorter than me. But I hope Genshin was treating you well, Overlord. So thank you for venturing into my monastery to enjoy the festivities. But getting back to it.
I am shorter than most people. I am pretty sure we have nearly foot and a half difference. With you.
Yeah, I get that a lot. It's part of the reason why if I ever go to Japan, which I want to go to at one point because I want to go to the Tokyo Dome. I dread the low ceiling problems I'm gonna have to deal with, and banging my head on just about everything. I already have problems with that just going on flights. I've broken 3.
You will get your forehead introduced to every door frame in Tokyo. Believe me.
Yeah, I've already broken 3 exit signs on my head just helping people move. Because, for context, folks, I'm 6'6" or 198 centimeters.
I am 4 feet 9 inches.
So I know that inevitably I'm going to be hitting my head on things because I do that already. It's the reason I don't like flying. I'm not scared of planes. I just hate having to deal with low ceilings. But regardless, the first one we've got is Anima Gate of Memories 1 and 2 Remastered. Now, I have a long history with Anima, which is a long-running TTRPG card game and war game coming out of Anima Project Studio all the way out in Spain. One of the things that drew me to it years and years ago was the very striking art by Wen Yu Li, also known as Wen M on DA. And it very much has a lot of inspiration from Rollmaster, just in a very over the top approach. I've seen some say that it is a over the top JRPG in tabletop form. I don't quite agree with that. It has more, the over the topness is more akin to a Tianxia than anything else. There's certainly the influence there, but I've also seen a lot of people do disinformation about how complicated the game is, and it is highly customizable. It's only complicated if all that you know is D&D and Pathfinder. But Gate of Memories was a video game adaptation from several years ago, back during the 7th generation. Anima Project Studio had published it alongside forget the name of, I think it was Badland Studio or Badland Productions. But then Badland went bankrupt. They didn't pay them, resulted in a whole bunch of bullshit. About a year and a half ago, they decided to kickstart a follow-up called Song from the Abyss, and had to do an extended hiatus after the death of Carlos's mother. But during that time where Carlos wasn't around, the team involved worked on a remaster of Gate of Memories and Song of the Abyss, rechristening both Gate of Memories 1 and 2. Which leads us to the present.
I do think some games are unfairly judged when it comes to being able to customize your character. The funny part is a lot of the same games generally play in a very straightforward, simple manner after you are done with the creation process.
Pretty much. I call certain games front-loaded, where a lot of the complexity is in character creation, but when you get to the actual play part of things, it's not that complex. GURPS is a good example of this. And yes, GURPS is kind of my whipping boy and has been for most of my life. I don't hate GURPS, but I find that a lot of people who try and sell it to me aren't being honest. But with that said, let's begin with Gate of Memories.
The tower has risen, born from the memories of those who will be our ruin, the messengers of the end. Among them, 2 hold our fate in their hands. A man cursed with eternal life, a girl who bears the calamity with her, and 1 shall decide if we rise or fall.
With the lights.
Finis omnis existentia.
I do think there's a lot of charm in keeping the older style while upgrading the visuals a bit.
Yeah. I remember saying that the color style was a bit muted, but I also understood that, it was their first major project in this regard. And Wenyu Lee's art style is one that is very difficult to do in 3D. He has a very detailed style that is, it would be kind of like trying to do Yoshitaka Amano's art style in polygons. Even with modern tech, it's a struggle.
There are some concept artists who make putting their art into games a challenge.
Mm-hmm. And just look up...
Early Final Fantasy concept art is very much in the same category.
Which was all done by Amano. Now, the reason why Nomura became the primary concept artist once they went 3D was because his style, which was more manga-influenced, as opposed to the more ukiyo-e style that Amano drew from, was going to be easier to emulate with PS1 graphics. So it wasn't like Nomura was just some scrub they brought in just for the PS1 era. He had started as a monster designer all the way back in 5.
Yeah. And later down the line, they stuck with it because the more complex the graphics became, the harder it would be to actually execute the same designs.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing a CG project that was drawn by Amano that was an attempt, but I don't remember what came of it. And there was also the anime version of Guin Saga that very much did not use Amano's art style. At least not a one-to-one, because that would have been difficult to animate. It's going that level of detail is a double-edged sword. But the next one is Artist's Impact, which this one I covered about 6 months ago, and now they have a full release date.
I can already see the product of developers inserting style to combat with limitations. The out-of-tune music is also very characteristic.
Oh yeah.
It's light, happy, but it's also incredibly eerie and unsettling. I like the personality of this.
Yeah. The animation style almost reminds me of rotoscoping, which is something you rarely see these days in animation. I think the last time I saw it was the Dread of Night animated film, which is a very interesting film. It was heavily inspired by Fire and Ice. It was also a trip. A lot of people didn't see it because for a while it was exclusively on the Shudder service, which is a streaming service that is exclusively focused on horror movies.
I think it's kind of what I largely miss in gaming. The creative passion fighting against the limitations. And ending up creating a style.
Well, when you're in this monastery, you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of that, to the point where you're probably going to end up drowning in it.
Touché.
But next up is At Fate's End, which I can best describe as an action RPG that is heavily themed around the tarot.
Torben Sina, Brunner.
I thought of Spiritfarer even before they mentioned it. It's certainly a memorable style.
I do wonder if the card spread setup we see here is going to cap out at 7. Since the 7 card spread is one of the more common readings in tarot.
The gameplay is promising to be curious,
So next is Away from
at least in terms of how it's executed.
Oh yeah. So next is Away from Home. And this one I did grab semi-blind. And hang on. This is a weird thing that Sync 2 does sometimes where it skips ahead a few seconds.
HM. That's curious.
HM?
I would say I'm intrigued.
I remember when I showed it to Riona, she had said she got a bit of vibes of Friday Night Funkin', and I can see it.
It's Friday Night Funkin'. But it's also kind of reminds me of a rhythm
Oh yeah.
Mario RPG would have,
Yeah, and
but
hold
with
that
like the undertone of horror to it.
hold that thought about Mario RPGs. That will come up later. But the next one is Oasis, which I can best describe as a action platformer with physics combat. That ends up reminding me of the insanity, glorious insanity that is Fight Crab, which is also getting a sequel.
Of course it is. I can see what you mean. By Fight Crab.
So Oasis is definitely a fun bit of chaos.
The Yankee feeling will certainly be quite charming.
Now, the next one is Bakudo, which I can best describe as dodgeball with robots. And since we're dealing with dodgeball, remember that dodgeball is a game of violence and degradation. Also, maybe a little bit of Windjammers as well.
Shueisha Games here.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I had a chance to observe this game before. So for once I am not blind. It looks charming.
Just remember the 4 Ds. Remember, folks, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. But speaking of ball, the next one is Ball Pit, which I can best describe as what would happen if somebody decided to take Arkanoid and enter the Gungeon, throw them in a blender, and make them have a very angry baby.
Balbalon has fallen. A pit is all that remains. Now treasure seekers flock to explore its depths.
I would be surprised if Enter the Gungeon's baby wasn't angry.
Brick breaking. Ball fusing. Base building. Survival roguelite. Power up. Rebuild Balbalon.
Also, the ball thing even applies with base building.
Ah yes, the famous tower of Bulb Island.
But who's got the biggest balls of them all?
Ball pit.
Good question.
I ended up making that joke with one of the devs for Sorcery, and he ended up playing along with it, which completely threw me off. Then again, Sorcery is a game that is absolutely nuts, and I've been bullying
Devolver
them.
Digital producing, as usual, the weirdest things.
Yeah, you probably saw a few of their Devolver Directs when they were doing those and making them into the biggest shit post possible.
I did, yes.
But next is Beast of Reincarnation, which is one of the few major entries here. It's from, of all people, Game Freak.
はるか昔この国に輪廻の獣が現れた
Bit of a tone shift, okay?
輪廻の
From their
獣
usual.
は汚れを吐きあらゆる生物を蝕んだ
There's something quite fitting about the beast being a stag.
Can't spell stagnation without a
西
stag.
暦4026年人類は滅亡を待つのみ 封じ子エマお前こそが輪廻の獣を滅ぼす刃となる
What a cheerful game.
Pretty much. Now the next one, Berserker Die, this came out about a week ago. And is what happens when the guy behind Ninja or Die gets in an elevator with the people behind Vampire Survivors.
Are okay. Roll your face on your keyboard the video game.
Apparently Ponko saw a demonstration of it and they were like, we gotta get this out there.
Understandable.
But the
The
next
fact that you control. By giving your keyboard a slap. Repeatedly. Is something interesting.
Yeah. Oh. Now the next one is Blighted, which is done by the same team that did Guacamelee, which is really, really good.
Looking over this decaying world, one can only wonder, how did it all come to this? It began with the ancient rituals, the dead buried with a seed from the trees of memory. Those who ate of the fruit saw the lives they lived and passed their knowledge to future generations until Sorcisto, in his lust for power, consumed the brains of the living, spreading this blight. You harbor it too, I see.
I will always appreciate a scythe wielder.
Should you fall, pray the
Ah,
vultures
yes.
consume you
Of course,
before the
cannibalism.
blight does.
My favorite.
And we're not unreasonable. I mean, no one's going to eat your eyes.
True.
But next is the one that's got a lot of attention in my monastery. And that is that we are getting a follow-up to Bloodstained, known as the Scarlet Engagement.
The castle has been sighted again. The Church's orders are absolute. These human sacrifices must be stopped.
We will track the
I was
ethereal
gifted the
cast
first entry of the
Break its
Bloodstained by my
gates.
audience.
and
Actually,
exterminate the creatures that
I may
dwell
just
within.
try it out.
The Demon Lord himself will fall by our hand.
Bloodstained is really damn good,
We'll test the limits of your courage.
and was Iga's massive
You
fuck
will
you to his
face
former
horrors beyond
employees.
your darkest imaginings. Beasts that defy reason. Creatures born of pure darkness.
Ah, yes. We love the night saying creatures of undefined darkness and a game showing a woman. Thanks.
With me! Cross!
Tonight, we start
I do be
our
proud of being
mission.
a creature of undefined darkness.
So you've come, dogs of the church, right into the palm of my hand.
So, you may recall that there was that whole hubbub with Blue Protocol last year. It was something in the works, then it wasn't. Well, someone decided to pick things up.
As the Japanese person, I have been aware of the entire debacle from start to finish. And a right shame it was. The game had a lot of potential which they decided to fuck up entirely.
When I was doing the Geek Watch streams, we did a whole episode on just the many, many games that AGS had set up and then canceled that could have at least gotten some legs. A classic raid boss setup if I've ever seen one.
I can see the game being some fun.
I did find it cute that while doing the
This is effectively the mobile version of the original game.
I did find it cute that when doing that whole mining minigame, you had the rest of the party cheering them on. But speaking of cute, the next one, Bolt and Wallington, is a platformer that most certainly has its charm. We interrupt this platformer to bring you Space Invaders. Of course, there's a black hole in the toilet. I wonder if one of the devs was playing Knit stories, especially the Don't Eat the Mushroom level.
Do not fix what is not broken. A lot of the mechanics I see here are very much something I've seen, but remixed. I like that approach.
They were having fun making that.
Yes. The greatest villain. Cat Chef.
Oh, one of my favorite little gags in Monster Hunter World was the team of cat chefs. So,
This is cute.
but one of the showcases that happened was the Warhammer Skulls event, which obviously meant a lot of stuff for Warhammer 40k, Fantasy, and Age of Sigmar. Now, a lot of that was on the tabletop end of things, which I have talked about elsewhere, but that's not relevant for this stream. But there were 4 things that did crop up. One of them is that Bolt Gun is getting a sequel. And Bolt Gun was fucking great.
Death and ruin! Glory for Ultramar!
As obviously it's just a bit of an announcement, but the other thing was the devs Auroch decided to take what they had with Bolt Gun and mix it with Typing of the Dead to create a free LC called Words of Vengeance.
Chaos filth!
A trolley my type of game. If typing could kill, it can now.
So the next one, Castle of Heart, is a enhanced version of a game with the same name that came out years ago, and is the kind of thing that I like to see when it comes to remakes or remasters. Not just prettying up the original game, but using this opportunity to revisit certain mechanics that had some issues in its original form, or just stuff that didn't quite work because the devs were new to the party.
I think it's the same thing as revisiting old projects. You inevitably look at it and go, here, fuck, I could have done that there. Hindsight is truly 2020.
Mm-hmm. The next one chronicles medieval. Oh. Very much is carrying the torch of Mount and Blade, which I do like. It also seems to be styling itself on the many, many wars between England and France.
Thou shalt not kill. So the priests tell us. So the Lord commands. But ambitious men do not listen. I sought no war.
Which is kind of hilarious, as both of my best friends in space right now are a French guy and a Brit who I play competitive with in recent times.
I became like them. I took up the sword.
Yeah, that things tend to work that way.
Redemption through my deeds. But some paths, once taken, have only one ending. I shall find no peace. On this road, there is only death. But that's just my story. Go write your own.
Maybe I will. You can't tell me what to do.
This was one of the... I think this was... Most of the games that were announced during Summer Games Fest were ones that I had already talked about. This was the exception. But the next was the vid that was announcing the closed beta for Chrono Odyssey.
The void has consumed us all. Is this the end? What divinity dwells in this madness? Calamity bears not name nor face, yet draws closer still.
Owen was studying Wayne Barlow's Hell art.
I shall return you to the past. You must prevail, no matter the cost. Reshape the future.
It's certainly
by your own
interesting.
hand. Sentinel of Cetera, I await your return.
But speaking of time, I think that's...
All slimy.
I think that's going to be a major theme with the next one I've got, which is Code Vein 2.
Time. For some, it heals. For others, it wounds.
for our world.
An unexpected
Promises
thing.
only oblivion.
I didn't think they would return back to this.
Our hopes lost long ago.
I have. It is certainly
But you-
it's certainly a welcome surprise.
You have the power to change all of this. If time were a weapon to wield, could you undo the sins of ruin? In this time, or maybe the next, you'll find how to save us all.
A time travel story can be rather tricky.
Oh yeah. Even time travel stories I like have issues of falling into their own weight. One of the rare exceptions was a indie film from 2004 called Primer. I think Primer got away with it because it was very, very specific about its particular time travel.
My favorite aspect of Code Vein were always the companions. I hope they improved them further.
It looks like they might, and it also looks like there's going to be a bit of verticality when it comes to the combat. So leaning kind of midway between a Souls-like approach and a character action approach. Which I am glad to see that even people who are doing the Souls-like thing are going a bit more experimental with it. It's something I always knew was going to happen with time.
So I noticed. I think they definitely are paving way to their own personality. Which is good.
So the next one, Colossus...
Hell, even From Software themselves
Oh yeah. Although I still...
are gearing towards verticality.
Oh yeah. So the next one, Colossus Eternal Blight. This was one of the ones that was on the list showcased at IndieQuest. So IndieQuest was one that focused solely on indie RPGs. That was the showcase where I was able to interview the organizer of it, which still blows my mind that he was willing to sit down and talk with me. Hang on.
Some people are chattier than expected.
Yeah, it's just I'm not some highfalutin big name when it comes to content creation. I'm just a one-man operation. But he was willing to talk with me. I guess the massive playlist certainly helped my case.
I watched some films with a friend of mine. And the thing I noticed about the bigger showcases is how little soul there were in the way they presented the games. And the art style. The bland, overly realistic nature of things just bored me. This is a treat for the eyes.
Yeah, I realize I say this a lot, and it sounds cliche, but in my monastery, we do things a little bit differently.
He's not wrong.
Oh, hey there, Rick.
Hi, I'm going to be on push to talk the whole time because our AC unit went to crap, and now I have all the fans on, trying to make some current of cool air go through.
And let me... Pretty sure. Okay, what the hell? I thought I had your reactive on here. Let me fix that.
I won't be here long. Probably got an hour or two, and then I got work on sewing.
All right, no worries. I'll just play it by ear. But
I was about to mention I heard someone come in.
oh yeah. Maki, Rick, Maki, be nice.
Her name on the thing is making me want to do jokes from a certain annoyance of Ace.
But let me get you the... Oh.
Nice to meet you. I am Maki. I love games and women.
So let me get you the sync tube link, Rick. There you go.
Let's see if this one cooperates with me unlike the other one.
Sync tube has been fairly reliable. But once you're in, I will do the proper setup.
Well, just with the amount of sync issues I've had over the last few ones.
Understandable, but I certainly do my best. Of all the names it gives you Loyal Monkey.
I am not Zan. I am not a monkey like him.
Zan's not a monkey, he's a dragon. Dragon of chaos, but a dragon nonetheless.
Fair.
But the next one that's on the list was one I came across by accident, and that is Cosmic Holidays. And someone is going to make some head jokes with this one. Yes, inflatable head.
Of course.
So going by what I see right now, I see someone that enjoyed the 2D Wario games.
Possibly.
I guess that's what they mean when they say I should use my head.
Yes, like that.
I've heard of big-headed, but this is ridiculous.
I just hope I won't come off as too headstrong. LOL.
I'm groaning.
As you should.
Sorry, getting ahead of myself here.
Rick, we all know what oh, that's one way to use your head. What does everybody want? Head.
We're making all the puns here, folks. We gotta get him out while we're ahead.
Pretty sure if somebody streams this
Get a
and
head start if you will.
pretty sure if somebody streams this, the head jokes will fly and they will fly with impunity. But next is...
So you're basically going to be... Is that basically what's going to happen when you stream this and inevitably Zan hears about it?
Probably. But next is Crimson Capes, which reminds me very much of those combat simulator approaches that I saw on like the Amiga. It is a very timing-based, detailed animation style with its fighting.
Hey, Monk, do we have a actual list of the games?
Yes, I have the full playlist on a spreadsheet. I'll send that to you later.
Temple.
This is another case of doing sprite rotoscoping. I've seen some people say this is Souls-like. I don't see it.
All I have to say is
Spider said, "Parry this, you filthy casual." And it would seem we can.
Maybe. No, the way I'm looking at it, I'm just thinking someone was a big fan of the early quote-unquote 3D games of some kind.
Yeah. Now for the next one, Critical Shift, the vibe I get out of this is XCOM meets Control. And you'll see why very soon.
Elevator inbound!
Might be the staff.
Lights out. Freeze! Don't move! On your knees! Down on the ground! Now! Dumbass droids.
What the fuck?
Oh, fuck, that's an anti-tank rifle.
DU ammo traces.
Combat droid signatures.
This was the cleanup team. They didn't get very far. What could have done this to them?
The containment database is toast. It's been tampered with.
It figures.
That guy
We'll
surely
have to
got a
hunt down
monster in
answers
his
the hard
house.
way.
Do we even have clearance for this?
Clearance, but we're going anyway.
Yeah, this is very much channeling XCOM or Jagged Alliance. Hopefully not with the XCOM RNG.
We need to have clearance for
Close
this.
call. But it was
This is
worth
my
it.
clearance. It's called Fuck It We Ball.
It knows our weaknesses. We need to act fast. Contact! We thought we had it all figured out. We were prepared
Here's my
for
trap
anything.
card.
But this place rewrites the rules.
Just when you think you've got the answers, I change the questions.
I like the shoulder pauldrons.
Damn. That monster is swagger striding.
Wasn't there an anime about a skeleton knight or something?
Different anime.
I know it's different, but I'm just looking at this. I'm like, oh wow, he got dark.
The next one was another one from IndieQuest, Cyber Threat, which very much is channeling Persona in general, and Persona 3 in particular.
You had me.
He lost his adventurer's job and needed a side gig.
And I can say that the devs are Persona fans who actually played the games, unlike some people I know.
Also, and for your information, Maki, big Persona fan over here.
Who's actually played the games?
Seen it, play the games and seen the anime, and I always say games first, anime second.
But
I wish Persona 5 developers actually played the games too. But we'll leave my burning hatred of that game out of this.
Welcome to Edendale High.
You'd better.
As long as you're not talking crap about 4, we're good.
Creep I caught staring at me at the station.
This whole room is one gigantic computer.
It'd take too long to explain what it actually is, so something cool.
You made it! You're all here. If you're not on Friend Stop, it's like you don't exist. Come on, we're fixing this right now.
The name's Conrad Baldwin. The man, the myth, the legend.
Listen up. The name's Kaori Delana, and I'm not afraid to fight anyone around here.
Hiya, my name's Eve. It's so nice to meet you.
Eve, can you open the student database time capsule for me?
I guess with a lot of the characters, they're doing weapon and element.
I want to see when it was last updated.
Oh god, they have Jupiter.
Certainly a style.
Let's go to this game of cheeseburger.
Oh yeah. It's very much early in development, but there's a voice present.
I can definitely see some stuff I like about this. Other than the facts, like, okay, like True Persona, we have a mascot and it's not an animal this time, it's a fucking cheeseburger. But I'm already looking at some of the casts they have, which I really like. And you already heard my riff about realizing, oh, hey, one of the actual Persona actors is in here.
Yep. But
now, if you excuse me, folks, I gotta go wishlist this.
All according to Keikaku. But for the next one, yes, I have covered this in a previous Hangover Shitshow. In fact, I covered it on the last one. But I didn't have much in the way of gameplay data at the time. It's Demon X Machina.
There is a style. I'd want to see the improvements in terms of art style itself. It reminds me kind of that generic romance visual novels. Maybe making it a bit sharper could make it more memorable. I dunno.
You're not wrong, especially with like the character art style. But for all we know, it could have been like first draft, let's get everything done, and they'll change it up probably the more further in development they get.
Oh yeah. And like I said, this is very early. But for the next one with Demon X Machina Titanic Scion, I will note, Maki, that instead of going with mechs, they're going with power armor. And I've jokingly said that they're scratching the itch that Anthem failed to scratch.
I respect that.
But there were multiple videos I could have picked for the list, but the one I went with was the combat basics. There were a few other videos that showcased different weapon classes that the game has.
Welcome to the combat class, folks!
Demon X Machina have had some of my favorite dynamic movement in combat, but they felt a bit odd in terms of presentation of mecha itself.
And not a big mecha fan over here, Monkey.
I look at that as a consequence of the fact that you had developers from 2 or 3 different Armored Cores that did have very different styles. Like you had some people from Armored Core 3, some from 2, and some from Nexus. One of the more divisive Armored Cores, but that's a whole other story that I've talked about months ago. But going with power armor...
Here. Demon X Machiner was a bit too confused about its own identity, I would say.
For this one, I think they've gotten off the cocaine high.
I think this helps them provide that speed without it feeling underwhelming. Since it's not giant war machines, but rather people in super costumes. Different power fantasy and different expectations.
Pretty much. And of course, you can always hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker.
The Stop Hitting Yourself School of Tactics. We love it.
Yep. So next is one of the other major announcements from Warhammer Skulls. After doing Rogue Trader, Owlcat has decided to dip back into that with Dark Heresy. Which makes me wonder if they just plan on doing all of the FFG 40k RPGs. That would also mean they'd have to do Black Crusade eventually, which, best of luck. But for those...
I respect the grind.
Owlcat had previously done Rogue Trader, and before that they did Pathfinder Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous. Dark Heresy, for those who didn't play the TTRPG, focuses on the Inquisition, but has the PCs as inquisitorial acolytes. The people who do the work that would normally be reserved for an Inquisitor, but isn't important enough for them to show up, or they need some plausible deniability. Especially if things go south, which this is the 40k universe, it's going to go south.
Fair. Also, because we say Inquisition, insert obvious joke here.
Inquisition goons.
Pretty much. And it's important to remember that an Inquisitor's political power is all but infinite. The only thing that stops it is another Inquisitor getting pissed off that somebody's stepping in their plans.
Is torn asunder.
I like the art style.
In this darkest hour, we are
it's very
on all fronts.
Magnolia.
By enemies from within. By enemies from without. By enemies from beyond. Still, no matter the cost, we must persevere. Every blade.
Bitch slap.
Oh shit.
My favorite martial art.
Oh shit, we got the Night Lords as an enemy faction. The Night Lords are technically renegades, but they are not Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah. I will say I wouldn't mind like a couple games with the art style we had at the very beginning, like having all that level of shading. So I think it really does well with developing an identity for the game.
Returns to our defense. Every soul.
If this was meant to be like a Darkest Dungeon 40k, that'd fit, but for what
The
Owlcat
Night
does,
Wolves just decided to fuck around and find out.
For if we fail, all will fall into the damnation of eternal night.
so if this is the party that we've got, we have a few things that make me raise an eyebrow. We have an Ogren. Of course, we've got an Ogren, because Ogrens are good boys.
Eldar here.
Yeah, the one in the middle is an Inquisitor. We have what I think is an Eldar Warlock, which is interesting. It's not uncommon for... Inquisitors have worked with Eldar in the past, but it does get complicated. What I think is a House Venomous assassin, a Catachan jungle fighter from the Imperial Guard, and a Kroot sniper, which is interesting since Kroots are part of the Tau, and the Tau don't quite understand what magic is. Which is probably the reason why they're able to use AI without their AI turning on them. But
Their ability to shove cute aliens in our Warhammer 40k games keeps amusing me.
But it'll be interesting to see how it's going to play out. I'd imagine not too far removed from what we saw with Rogue Trader, just using Dark Heresy as a base instead of Rogue Trader. Since both of them are using the same general system when it came to the TTRPGs. So Dark Heresy came first, and the original run sold out in like 6 minutes. But speaking of Warhammer, the next is the Definitive Edition for Dawn of War. Now, again, normally I would not cover Definitive Editions or remasters and the like. This is a special case because a lot of the multiplayer aspect for the original Dawn of War was stuck in Games for Windows hell, as well as dealing with technical limitations because it was built for a operating setup that is significantly outdated. And because of that, modding could had a bit of a low ceiling in terms of what you could do. Although that didn't stop people from pushing it and trying to put apocalypse level rules. To the point where I could hear the game engine screaming in pain. But
Warhammer Dawn of War 2 still has some of the most active multiplayer scene in RTS gaming genre.
Oh yeah. Which is amusing because Dawn of War 2 was a very divisive game. But
my faith is my shield.
Ah yes, Dreadnoughts, the literal armored coffin. And I did confirm, instead of just doing the main campaign, this definitive edition is including all of the expansions. And doing full mod support.
Good to know.
In fact, from what I heard, Relic actually reached out to some of the modders, like the people who did the Unification mod in Apocalypse, to try and make sure that it would be compatible.
Because remember, folks, in games like this, modders are your best friend.
There is no such thing as innocence, only degrees of guilt.
I'm curious what they mean by improved camera, but having the full army set up and all of the campaigns, which is basically them saying all the expansion campaigns. It also means the return of Scott McNeil, the game, because for some of the expansions he voiced like half the damn cast.
We need to send this to Brother TJ so we can have another thing to enjoy Scott in.
I already have my copy of the thing signed by him, and it was one of those. I'm reminded of what happened with Mega Man, where when he was in the booth, everybody just left him in there because he was voicing the two main villains in the show.
I love it when one singular voice actor speaks to themselves.
Oh, honey, all I have to say is watch Beast Wars.
That's pretty much what it was doing. So everybody would just go, Scott's got one of his scenes coming up, and they just go out for coffee and leave him in the booth.
You have no idea what goes on inside my head. After all, what's the difference between a voice actor and a mental patient? Difference is one gets paid for their insanity.
Although, pro tip, don't go drinking with Scott McNeil. Speaking from experience.
I was too young to do that. By the time I could, he either left or I was babysitting a bunch of my other friends who got wasted.
But next is what I could best describe as a unholy union between BPM and a beat 'em up. Dead as Disco.
Me and my boys way up right now. This time we made a difference. This blood in the water. I hope you built for swimming. We took 2 steps into 2 deaths. You know the difference. Listen, hey, killer boys running the set. Say it again. This was dead.
Somebody was watching Old Boy. Good.
I like the
Rip
concept
Random
of this.
Plug.
Fatality.
I'm gonna make you wish you stayed dead. Let's rock!
Was development for this in any way, shape, or form assisted by Suda 51?
No.
Okay, because I was getting a lot of No More Heroes vibes in some parts.
I don't see it. I see more of Sifu than No More Heroes.
Probably. I'll take your word on that. But then again, you're more experienced in this than I am.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm starting to think they might have been inspired by that one zombie game with a cheerleader with her boyfriend's head strapped to her ass.
Lollipop Chainsaw?
Whatever that was.
Yeah.
It was Lollipop Chainsaw, and that's a Suda51 game.
You're that.
Suda51 is a...
It reminds me of that.
Yeah. But the next one, Deadlock Station, is technically an auto battler, but this one I might actually give a shot.
Deadlock Station needs its heroes. This isn't a drill, Commander. Position your squad wisely and stay frosty. The battle will unfold on its own. Since soldiers have game-changing abilities, charge them mid-combat and unleash them at the most opportune moments. Explore the wasteland with your squad. Unlock exclusive missions, legendary loot, and uncover their stories. Lots of heroes to command. Yet the
It can be
sword
done with the right quirks and interesting things to it.
Failure is just a setback. Rearm, re-engage, bring the station from the ashes. Improve the ultimates, upgrade the gear, while other factions squabble over nothing. Merge auto combat with direct control and dominate every encounter. Use anything you find on the battlefield. Traps, turrets, acid pools, and a dozen other ways to crush your foes. No two battles are the same. Adapt or flatline. Deadlock Station awaits. Lead your squad, unravel the alien threat, and reclaim New Earth's future.
That sounds like a wrestling announcer having a passionate sex with Tio Ain. Payne's auto-tune mixer.
But the next one, which was at the 6-1 Indie Showcase, started off as a shitpost that evolved beyond that. One animator making dinosaurs wielding melee weapons eventually evolved into a full game known as Dino Blade.
Dinosaucer? Is that you?
Oh, please.
For those of you
Or
who
it's the
thought
Edge
that,
Dino Souls Rex. My
For those of you-
favorite.
for those of you who thought crowds with guns was ridiculous, we're going to one-up that by going primitive.
But next up is Drill Core, which is a game that's been around for about a year, but it's entering its 1.0 version soon.
Welcome to Drill Core, a base-building roguelike strategy game with survival elements, where your success fuels our quarterly bonuses. By day, command miners, carriers, and guards tunneling through an alien planet. Build up your base, upgrade your defenses, then brace for nightfall, when the planet pushes back. It's not
Not the
just
miners.
resource extraction, it's responsible terraforming. Reach the core, tune the climate to client specs, and lift off before you're overrun. Drill Core has grown fast over last year. We added dwarf platforms in December, opened claims in living jungle biomes in February, and launched oversight departments just last month. That's not mentioning dozens of new buildings and turrets we developed to counter threats from newly encountered blocks and aliens. But the game will become even bigger when it hits full release on July 21st. You can expect a new platform exploring cooperation opportunities with alien species. Lots of quality of life improvements and deeper turret customization to suit any corporate playstyle. And later this year, take the dig on the go when Drill Core comes to Nintendo Switch.
One or two.
Join Drill Core Inc.
Probably one.
Start your Drill Core Inc. Building tomorrow's galaxy, one core at a
July
time.
is promising to be an interesting time.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Also, Drill Core. Meanwhile, Minimum wage for new miners is $1.
Drill core. Make or break. A few others.
That list is going... The longer that you're in the monastery, Maki, that list is going to be exploding. I guarantee you this.
We have one person that has 3 Excel sheets full, as in 3 tabs, and he somehow filled it. And it's still running.
My goal is to drown people in high-quality indies until none of them can say that nobody's making good games. So far, I feel I've been very successful.
That's a good goal.
Still need to drag your ass down to Momo Monk so you can play some of the indie developed games that are there live.
Probably, it's just I hate flying. But
I know.
Moving right along, we have another one from IndieQuest, Echoes of the Stars.
Maybe next time.
Interesting.
I wonder if somebody was taking notes from Treasure Planet.
Probably.
I mean, not that. Which, as far as I'm concerned, is a smart move. But next up, we have a game that was published by Epic of all people, End of Abyss.
We actually trusting Epic on this?
I trust Section 9 on this.
Okay.
Do that, Dave. So, yeah, this sort of atmospheric terror of space is right up my alley.
I can't put my finger on it, but there was another like psychological horror game that I'm getting strong vibes of with this.
But Maki, you remember when I said put a pin on it regarding Mario RPGs?
Yes.
That is going to come into play with the next one, Escape from Ever After.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean.
There is a method to my madness, there's just a lot of madness.
I found
It's like it never left.
Also, I found the title I thought the last game reminded me of. Little Nightmares.
Yeah.
But the plumber quit his job.
When it comes to this, I know some people will just roll their eyes and say it just looks like a Paper Mario ripoff, but since Paper Mario has been stuck in this gimmick hell for the last 3 games at least, because they took the wrong lessons from Super Paper Mario, if somebody else wants to pick up that torch, I say let them.
So,
Little Nightmares is something that came to my mind too, about End of the Abyss actually. But I do think it's one of those cases of I can improve it, but I can't use the actual series. So I will use my own.
oh yeah, well, the other fact of it is, this looks like, I forget which one. It reminds me of like one of the Alien movies from the initial. That plus like how Little Nightmares operates, I feel it works for this kind of that kind of sci-fi game.
It does.
The
I don't
next
think I'll be buying it, but I'll be watching playthroughs because it looks interesting.
The next one on the list is Fading Echo, which water is going to be coming up quite a bit.
When it click through to the send this box to be so big fun.
I can't explain.
I'm liking what I see here.
I can't explain why, but I keep getting flashbacks to OG Jak and Daxter.
Never played it, unfortunately, but I can see that.
I can see what you mean.
Excuse me, I need to go add another thing to the Steam wish list.
You're welcome.
What was that one called? Fading Echo?
Yep. So the next one, Fallen Fates. This is developed by the same team that did Astral Ascent, which is really, really damn good.
So we had an ascend, now we have fallen. I guess they tripped somewhere along the way.
Someone super got the better of him? Okay, which one of you woke up the mummy?
He who smelt it dealt it, so I think it was you.
I didn't read from the gold book. Or the black book.
Yep.
I can't even read that!
So, the next one that we've got is Ferocious, and I've seen some people say that this is giving them Dino Crisis vibes. I don't see it. What I see is Turok. A Turok with modern setup. This was showcased during the Tiny Build showcase earlier this month.
Are we playing as Chris Pratt?
No.
Good, because I know someone's going to ask that.
Damn. We're playing John Ferocious.
Is it wrong of me to say if I get this, I'm not going to be doing any of the fighting? I'm just going to get to the part where you kayak and just spend my time enjoying that. Because for some reason, that looks more appealing to me than the actual gunfight.
Same.
Possibly. But next up, Final Zone. This is a project that was made a long time ago by Wolf Team, and now it's getting a wider look. I came across it completely by accident.
Epic Drift.
Honestly, I could see this being a nightmare running on an SNES.
Yep. Yet someone's going to try playing this with an SNES controller as modded.
Probably. But I'm not done with Mecha because
I remember the days when music sounded like the 80s sci-fi movie's supercomputer got sticky keys. Those were certainly the days.
But
I was long after that, but I can't agree.
But next, we've already had remakes of Front Mission 1 and 2, so it was natural to go with 3. Which, I'd say for a large amount of people, this was their entry point for Front Mission.
Положимся на них, на наших детей.
All hail the Crab Mech. So yeah, but I will always laugh at when Gigax said a few years ago that mecha is dead in the West because
It'd be a good chance as any to get all 3 games remake. And play through them.
there's also a few other games that have the same spirit of Front Mission that are on the horizon. So mech fans are eating good over the course of the next few months. But next is...
Well, it kind of was in a way. But then they revived it pretty aggressively in the more popular format.
Next is Future Vibe Check, which I can best describe as Music Factorio.
Well, hello again. For the folks at home, I'm Buddy, and I'm here to show off a little Future Vibe Check, a musical automation game, and in this video, I'm going to break down what exactly that means. Alright, so, we've all played automation games. You build the thing that builds the thing. Put in some stone, get out some bricks, that's the automation. What Future Vibe Check does is make the thing you build make music. See this? That's a signal emitter, which is powered by the beat maker. The white light is the signal, and as the signal hits the blocks, it makes the beat that you're hearing. Now, the signal is tied to the instrument. This beat is just a kick drum, like you'd hear in any rock song, but what happens when we add the guitar on top? We took a rhythm, and we gave it a melody. And like any other automation game, it gets pretty complicated from here on out, till the song sounds more like this. Because this, gamers, this is what we call the vibe. If you want to mine resources, you have to have a vibe. If you want to progress, you need to refine the vibe. And if you want to sit back and relax and listen to all the music you've made, well, that's what we're here for too. You can demo Future Vibe Check for yourself right now on Steam. Thanks for tuning in, gamers. Thank you as well to Mike and Kyle for letting me and Monik come chill with you guys. Catch.
I can't say that I will dive into it because if I go back into the rabbit hole that is Factorio and Satisfactory, I'm not coming out.
I love the type of people like this. It feels like the hello fellow kids kinder slang.
But
I'm just going to unsubscribe to this guy's podcast because he sounds like one of those ones that really doesn't take things seriously and just does whatever's a paycheck.
But the next one, Gates of Naeli, is very much drawing upon Fire Emblem. And you'll be able to see that from the first frame.
So Fire Emblem.
Wait, the hell?
Yes, Death by Chicken.
He's a party member.
I always loved Fire Emblem's style of bombs. Hey bro, you're like cool. Level up. Acquired super mega rocket attack.
Yeah, there's been quite a few Fire Emblem successors around over the last year or so. Whether it be the Dark Deity games, which we've gotten 2 of them, the Vestria saga, stuff like Wargroove, There's no shortage, and I'm glad to see more people carrying that torch.
Is that an anime sailor girl with a gun?
Yes, it is.
What was that one? That one called Dark?
Dark Deity.
I see.
But next is one of the other major ones that I put in, War for Westeros. Hey, it's the fight we should have gotten in the TV show.
I think you know how the game is played. But this is not the game you know. This is your legacy. You decide who wins and who dies.
Oh, that one's coming.
I just hope it's a good RTS.
Game of Thrones. War for Westeros.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's Tywin's voice. Maybe.
Yeah, it is.
The main question, though, how many coffee cups are going to be left in there?
Probably 0 because because Dan and Dave are nowhere to be found. In fact, I haven't heard hide nor hair of them since the original series finished. But
good.
Next up is an adventuring city.
They took their coffee mugs and fucked off.
Yeah. The next is a adventure city builder called Gold Adventure Gold.
Just itching to get to work.
Insert gold quote here.
Who the hell did you hire? Another job.
Let's get moving.
Of course, we had to have the Ovari pose.
That's cute.
Up next is Guards 2, which was giving me a bit of flashbacks to some of the Might and Magic games. I can't explain why. It definitely will be a bit of chaos. Of course, we enjoy some chaos here in this monastery.
When you're not the perpetrator of it.
What are you talking about? I enjoy it even when I am the perpetrator.
With how often you yell
I
at me,
think that's
I
the
can't even
best
believe
part.
that.
Causing chaos.
But next up, actually, what I'm going to do for a brief moment is fill in the rest because I couldn't when I was setting things up before the stream. Mostly because there is a cap. So I'm going to be adding a few to
50 videos, I believe, is the cap.
Yeah. And there are a few that I need.
I will be grabbing my tea in the meantime. Since that's the best chance I'll get.
So, let me...
So, Monk, how many bars did you get thrown out of?
This time only one.
Now, was it you or your old man?
It was me this time.
Fair enough.
And for those of you who are wondering, wait, you got kicked out of a bar? Getting kicked out of Irish tenor contests is a tradition going back 4 generations. See, I am not just a shit poster, I am a generational shit poster. But I managed to get the rest that I've got planned for today in the thing, so you two ready to continue on?
Was refilling my glass of ice. I'm sorry, it's fucking hot.
Oh, I know.
And I was also getting my dinner, so. Rice and cooked pork.
There's some people who prefer rice, there's some people who prefer potatoes, and then there's me going, is it too much to ask for both?
Nope. It was just, okay, we have a lot of rice and no potatoes in the house. So. Besides, I usually have curry with rice and I always have potatoes in my curry.
But... Okay, I know you were getting your tea. Are you back yet? Looking through the... Also, I see what Overlord had put in the chat earlier, and no, shame on you. What kind of sea creatures gets mad? A crustacean because they get crabby.
Listen, we had our dad joke segment, and that was long after.
Yeah, but let's see here. It just... Oh, this is... There you are. I don't know why I forgot to add this in. Let me add that in there. Right there, it's gonna be good. There we go.
And I have returned.
Just in time. So, next up is Hell Maiden, which I can best describe as a bullet heaven themed around turning the Divine Comedy into waifus.
Quick, let's get this over with
As you
before
should.
Cruz pops up.
I think he's busy. I think he's busy at the cookout.
Probably, but he said waifus. You know him.
A deck building bullet heaven.
I do love women.
This is an awkward opportunity for a crossover between this and Ultra Kill, since both are about descending the layers of hell.
I like the art style.
Are the Fate School of historical character portrayal. Give them tits and worry about it later.
I wonder if
I
the
shouldn't
art
feel guilty
team...
for that comment, mate, my friend, but you're not wrong.
I wonder if the art team was taking some notes from the works of Satoshi Urushihara. Because that's the art style I get out of this.
You're not wrong.
But next up is Hyper Fantasy, which when I first saw this, I ended up getting vibes of El Shaddai, which is a very interesting character action affair.
Hey, Sephiroth, you got the wrong person on your blade. Okay,
If
then.
confused, touch boob. It will help.
Not wrong.
Now, the next one, Infinite Alliance, is a massive crossover of a bunch of different indie RPGs. And when it does drop, which I think is soon, it'll be completely free.
If only I played some of those.
I've played my fair share of them.
Send me a list later.
I will do that. I seem to do that. I seem to be very adept at that.
Oh, so that's what happened to my old fridge.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And hello there, Carousel. Welcome to the monastery. Thank you for the raid. I hope Food Chat was suiting you well. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Mildra. I am your one and only gaming monk, and we are going through a massive indie showcase, a supercard, if you will. But yeah, I try and keep things simple. I know a lot of people have a lengthy thing in their chat rules, but I find a lot of it can be just summarized as "don't be a dick." But
Hello. I am Maki. I am also here. Hope you enjoyed your time in the View chat.
Something like that.
Yep. But the next one is Infinity Bullets, and Maki, I will note one thing. Shmups are my catnip. I love me some shmup. But not bullet hells. I'm not that big on bullet hell. But give me a Gradius, give me an R-Type, and I will eat that shit up for days. And that is applicable with this next one, Infinity Bullets. A shmup and a twin stick. It's my own version of chocolate and peanut butter, except I can actually eat it.
Is that guy named after what most people would want to do to this girl and the girl before him?
A good possibility of a definite maybe. But like I said, shmup is my catnip. But the next one, Into the Grid, I can best describe as a hacking dungeon crawl card game.
This isn't Chaotix.
That's a random reference.
Look, I was not going to do the Yu-Gi-Oh one, let's be honest. That would not fit.
No, I was gonna go with Netrunner.
Fair. Never a big sci-fi fan. The closest I like it for that is Borderlands.
Borderlands is not sci-fi. Borderlands is just memes and Randy Pitchford being greasy.
You're not wrong, but you get where I'm coming from with that.
I do. I just gotta be me. But the next one, Into the Unwell, I feel like this is what would happen if Cuphead went to an AA meeting.
I wish my life sometimes would be the reverse of that. Out of the Unwell.
Another relapse, huh? Get well soon.
I should hate that pun.
Maybe it's too much for someone like you. Delusional. It won't always be so easy.
I love the animation for this.
You still look a little unwell.
Yeah. I could make a lot of references to Golden Age animation with this, but
I got a joke for this, though. Is this what happens when you have too much at Takaka 101's bar?
No, I don't think I'm ever going into that bar. But next up,
It's chaotic. With how chaotic it is, I don't blame you.
I can handle chaos. I'm just not the right kind of guy for it. But the next one we have here is one of the other major entries I put in, which is the Ivalice Chronicles for version of Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't know. A few of my colleagues talked about it to no end. I knew I was going to cover it, but I've had a few people having Ivalice brain rot within the server. Especially a few people who know who they are, who've insisted that you need grid combat if you're going to do a tactics-inspired campaign. I don't agree, but you do you.
Father, abandon not your wayward children of Ivalice, but deliver us from our sins, that we might know salvation.
Deliver us from Eva.
If you feel wronged, blame yourself or the Father.
Why do you fight? Why walk this path of subterfuge and conflict?
The powerful must rule the weak. It is our duty.
Heavens fall upon your crown!
This vile charade has gone on long enough. It ends now.
Do you remember when your father showed us how to make a whistle of a blade of grass?
I really did like the War of the Lions version on the PSP. The only problem that it really had was slowdown, especially if you tried to do the multiplayer that it had. But I think that was more of a consequence of the PSP's limitations than anything else.
Yeah. It's like, if you bring a lot of games when you're bringing them onto modern consoles, depending on when they came out, in the original console's lifespan, they seem to do better.
When you're working with a handheld, you have a tighter leash in terms of what you're able to get away with. Not because of oversight, but just hardware limitations.
I know. Remember, I like the Bravely games.
Oh, yeah. And I know some people are going to turn up their eyebrows at the fact that it's using the War of the Lions translation, but the original translation, even back then, was considered spotty. I understand why it was, because Ted Woosley was a one-man operation for most of his career. And I'm being dead serious. A lot of times, he was the only person doing a lot of the work. Or at most, he had maybe 5 people working with him. So, it's a grain of
Sounds
salt.
like you two would get along. Sounds like you and him would get along very well to an extent.
Japanese RPGs being translated in weird and awkward translation. Gasp. Unheard of.
Yeah. I would laugh my ass off
I
if...
am a Lurkarliza myself. Actually.
Ah.
So yes. I know the pain.
I would laugh my ass off if somebody took the Legend Edition project and mistranslated it in Japanese.
You hear it here, folks. Challenge has been dealt.
But
if I ever have the time.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't expect any translation of it anytime soon, because Legend Edition is a lot of pages. But the next one I got is Keijora, which I've seen some draw parallels between this and some of Studio Ghibli's work. I end up being reminded of Where the Wild Things Are in a roundabout way. Not the movie, I never saw the movie, but the book when I read it as a little kid.
I see the Ghibli idea.
So with the party that's set up in this, I do have to wonder if someone was taking notes from Trine, which is a party-based puzzler in a sense. Not party as in get a bunch of your friends together.
Probably.
Maybe. Though, given one of the clips we saw in this trailer, okay. Who took gold from No Face?
Don't look at me.
My hands are clean, Maki.
What?
No, I know who took it. It was Zan. It's always Zan's fault. But the next one is one that I technically have showcased previously, but we ended up getting the early access release date in this. And I just wanted an excuse to showcase the glorious insanity that is Kingmakers. I know this... Well, how?
So what war or era are we fighting in?
I remember this one. Yes. The error is yes.
Yep. The era is yes, and if you want to see their insanity, I also recommend looking at Road Redemption, which is their previous work, where they said, hey, let's do Road Rash, but make it even more insane. But the next one we have is Last Flag, which is basically them taking Capture the Flag and going a bit further with it, and drenching it in 70s.
Flag time, baby.
Get him, y'all.
He is a lumberjack, and that is okay.
Okay, I'm going for a second. What the hell am I watching?
Countdown begins. Adios.
It's either going to be a cute, quiet game people play, or it will die uneventfully in like a week. No in between.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, but I'm always down for a bit of chaos.
For some reason, I get block and load vibes from this.
But the next one we have is Lava Loop, which There's a bunch of bad jokes I could make about the way that name sounds. But this is a 2D rhythm shooter. I'm only going to show the first bit of it because the developer diary part of it is in French and they didn't provide subtitles. Yeah, the auto-generated subtitles are all in French.
Bonjour.
I'd like to show the rest, but unfortunately, when it comes to subtitles, it's only French. Why that is, I have no idea.
No bonjour, unfortunately.
But next is the revisiting of an old classic in Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland. Flip looks a little different from what I remember. We don't have a dog to pet, but you can pet the octopus.
We'll say for those interested at home, there is a demo available on Steam for those.
I was about
interested.
to ask how you suppose to die soft.
But next is Lonely Mountains Snow Riders, which hits a little close to me because of my look. I'm from the north. I like snow. That also means I like skiing. I am terrible at it, but I still like it.
I used to go on climbing mountain hikes, with skiing included.
Used to ski every once in a while, but this time hasn't been available for me.
We know this isn't channeling ski free because you can actually make it to the bottom of the mountain. But yeah, Lonely Mountains is out now, and I can see a bit of chaos happening when you get a bunch of people on this, and who ends up actually making it to the bottom instead of bailing. But the last one that we have for this week is Lort. which is all about the art of stealing shit.
Your arrogance led you here, just as mine did long ago. What we thought was a quest for glory turned out to be a ruse for fools, trapping you in these strange and foul lands. Your only hope, the ancient art of stealing. Welcome to Lords. All the awesomeness of a roguelite for you and your friends. And
Hi,
goblins
Doku, how are you?
with shoes on their heads. Power-ups are here to lend you a hand.
You missed the wife.
In this case, a severed.
I'm very aware I was at the Sweet Hut with Jum and the others.
Yep, and hang on. It's a bit of a... there we go.
A lot.
Let me roll it back a little bit.
With shoes on their heads. Power-ups are here to lend you a hand. In this case, a severed green hand.
Greetings.
A literal tooth break.
A lot. But you will also kick tons of goblin butts. Live. Laugh.
Also, pop me that link.
I would, but we just went through the last one. That is that you are the winner of the Doku challenge.
God damn.
I like what I see for Lords. That looks like just...
You have
okay, let's
arrived just in time for us to be done.
I'm literally looking at this and it's like, okay, let's get a little booze in us. Let's just sit down and just shit show and survive as long as we can.
Pretty much. I mean, it's kind of what you get. It's kind of what you get when you have goblins with shoes on their head, for reasons that are best left unsaid. But
it would be more so, okay, when someone comes up with a counter and who ends up getting dug up the most.
If Doku joins us, he'd be the one getting dug up because he's drunk. Then again, he's always drunk.
That man does not have blood. He does not have water in his body. He just has liquor.
But with that said, that covers the first half of this. As I said at the start, I had to split this in two, and we'll be covering the second half next Sunday around the same time.
And I promise I will be there for it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing.
Oh yeah, that'll be next Sunday around 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Adjust for your own time zones as needed. But Maki, what's your take so far on your first run through the Hangover shit show?
I would say personally, it has been a nice time getting to know a lot of the games that I would otherwise not know.
Yeah,
That's the beauty of this, because so many good ones get basically ignored or don't have that much promotion compared to the big titles that it ends up hurting. So it's nice to have these games.
And I know a lot of people will say, oh, these games aren't getting well promoted. To that, I've always said, my brother in Christ, you are the promotion. More games are getting recognized through good old word of mouth or through the impact of streamers or reviewers or the like, than through traditional promotion.
Word of mouth will succeed much better than anything else will.
So,
A lot of those old classic
look
shows
at damn
you like,
Helldivers.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, a lot of the old classic games, shows, and such you want from back in the day, how did they get so popular when they didn't have mainstream? Simple. The old-fashioned way.
There's also the fact that I firmly believe in the adage of be the change you wish to see. And since I want to see as many of these games succeed as I can muster, then that would require me stepping up. And the Hangover Shitshow is my form of that. That being said, as I mentioned, we'll be covering the second half of this next week. Same monk time, same monk channel. So with that said, I do want to give a sincere thanks to everyone who came in to enjoy the shit show that happened around here. I hope to see some of you again when we do this next week. And of course, keep an eye out because there's plenty of stuff coming around the pipe. I'm even getting interviewed about 3 times this week. So
wait, you're the one getting interviewed, not the other way around?
Yeah. First one's on Tuesday.
Well then.
So keep an eye out for that. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.